Eastman Kodak stock triggering 3 circuit breakers after Bloomberg News reported Kodak's weighing options, including a bankruptcy filing because of concerns raised by possible bidders for its patent portfolio. That's according to 3 people with direct knowledge of the process. For more on the stock, Zahra Burton joins us from the newsroom with details. Zahra?
You know, Mark, let's put up a chart if we can of what's going on with Kodak stock, because at one point that stock had fallen something like 67%. In fact, right now still trading below that level. Right now the share is trading for about 56 cents a share. Remember, just yesterday it closed at about $1.69. Let's talk about what they're talking about. They're said by 3 people familiar with the matter that they're weighing options, including a bankruptcy filing. And as you said, this is because of concerns raised regarding the sale of its patent portfolio. Some potential buyers, according to our reporting, they are reluctant to proceed with bids because a purchase may amount to a so-called fraudulent transfer. This is according to some people familiar with the matter. What we are also hearing as well is that Google is one of those companies that has actually signed a confidential agreement to peruse the assets, the patent assets that Kodak had for sale or has for sale. What we are hearing from Kodak as well, they're saying right now that as we sit here today, the company has no intention of a bankruptcy filing. So we're, of course, monitoring the situation. On one hand, Mark, you have Kodak denying this claim. On the other hand, you have 3 people saying this is likely to happen or that they're weighing their options. Of course, you remember Fitch this week said that they're worth more in liquidation. Back to you.
Zahra Burton. Zahra, thanks. Let's get more now on Eastman Kodak. I'm joined by our senior deals writer, Jeff McCracken, who helped to break this story this afternoon. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Mark.
Dramatic drop at Eastman Kodak, now down, you see on the screen, 65% just on this news.
Wow, that is an amazing drop. What's interesting is I think this move, the consideration of filing bankruptcy and probably hiring bankruptcy counsel, has been prompted as much by the bidders as it is by the company. The people that are looking at this patent portfolio they've got, and they could fetch $2 to $3 billion for the patents. But what's happened is a bunch of people that have looked at it, and Google would be one of them. They've signed confidentiality agreements, but they've said to the company, we're worried you're insolvent or you will be insolvent, and if we buy your assets, what could happen is we get into bankruptcy court or we could be forced into court by your creditors who want to sue us to get more money for the deal. So I think part of the thought is maybe you file bankruptcy counsel to protect the company and protect the patent selling process.
Jeff, a bankruptcy filing, would it clear the way for a patent sale?
I think so. I think that's partially what's being considered. Again, the bidders as much as anything have raised this prospect or have pushed the idea of bankruptcy might be required, because then you would get the sale blessed, if you will, protected by the bankruptcy court and a bankruptcy judge. Lazard, I think since June or July, has been running a sale process for Kodak and the patent portfolio, but what they found are bidders that are interested in the patents, but they're worried about the insolvency issue.
Jeff, any sense right now whether or not Kodak has hired a firm for all of this?
We think they're close to or have hired Jones Day, but we're not yet 100% sure on that. They were weighing Jones Day and Kirkland Ellis. As of yesterday, it looked like it was going to be Kirkland Ellis, but I think there was some conflict that arose at Kirkland, so now they're probably going to go with Jones Day.
As we mentioned earlier, Eastman Kodak, it's one of the most well-known companies in America. It's got over a 100-year history. What's going on there?
You know, it really reminds you of a lot of other companies that have historic traditions in this landscape. They've fallen behind because of technology. When you think of the Borders of the world who've gotten beaten up by the Kindles and Amazons and iTouches, I think that's what's going on with Kodak, is they haven't kept up with the times. They have this great patent portfolio that can probably be interesting to the Googles and the Microsofts of the world, you know, perhaps into the imaging world, but they were so reliant on their film and so reliant on what is now old technology. They've just withered away. Multi-billion-dollar market cap just a few years ago, and now it's maybe $300 million before today's collapse.
Jeff McCracken, our senior deals writer. 2 for 2. Last week it was HP, this time Eastman Kodak.
There you go.
Nice, Jeff.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, let's head now to San Francisco. Cris Valerio has also been tracking this story on Kodak. Hi, Cris.
Hi, Mark. That's right. So several things I want to point out. First of all, remember, Kodak in the last 2 years has made a huge effort to try to be relevant again with audiences. Just 2 years ago at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, remember, they announced a partnership with Lady Gaga. She was their spokesperson, really putting down serious money in a marketing effort, an attempt to rebrand itself. Clearly not necessarily working out. Now, you heard Zahra mention that Google might be a suitor. The only relationship that I found in the last few minutes that I wanted to point out with Google is, remember that the Kodak had a mobile connectivity agreement with Google Cloud Print, and that is where you could print anything from anywhere in the world. You could send it to your printer no matter where you were using the cloud. that's something to think about as we consider that news. The last thing I wanted to mention was just give you context of where Kodak is coming from. It has had a 6th annual loss in the last 7 years, lots of declines. And in fact, just last month, we were looking at the credit default swaps, the derivatives, and it suggested a 97% chance that investors thought this company would fail within 5 years. So this is something that the credit default swaps certainly have been pointing at, or at least investors have been concerned about, and is one of the reasons they've been considering for a while selling those patents to try to make some money on it. So those are just some initial thoughts here as we look into this news and as we dig into it. Mark.
Cris, Valerio in San Francisco. Cris, thanks.